Sorry about that. My name is Roberta Calacino, and I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator here in the upstate region of New York known as the Finger Lakes region. I moved a bunch of things around in my craft room today, and as I can see, I've moved things to the point where everything's a little different, so I'm going to try to adjust that a little bit. So this is a video to take the place of a live video today because I'm not going to be able to come to you live today. And I'm just going to keep fidgeting with that till I think I get it semi-right. Not quite sure why it's all off kilter, but we'll see what I can do about it, if anything. It's so hard to tell when you turn these things. All right, I think that will probably do. So, as I said in the introduction, I'm bringing you something today that certainly could easily be seen as a beginner technique. However, it is also a technique that those of us who've been crafting for a long, long time often forget about. And I'm also noticing that I forgot to turn my sound off and wondering why I'm not hearing myself, because I often do. Okay, well, I'm just not going to worry about it. I'm going to assume that there's some sound. Anywho, so this is a technique called SIP, or Stamps, Ink, and Paper. And it simply means that all you need to make a card using the SIP technique is stamps, ink, and paper. So I needed some thank you cards, and they were going to people who wouldn't necessarily see each other or know if they all got the same card. They're going to people who aren't going to be posting, oh look, I got this card on Facebook or anything like that, and even if they do, it really is okay. I didn't feel a strong need to have them all get their own thank you card design, because on the inside is where I'm going to write personalized messages towards them. And you know that I love the Dragonfly card, or Dragonfly set, or at least I think you do. So, well, now I don't seem to have it here, but it's here somewhere. Like I said, I readjusted a ton of things in my craft room, and so who knows where I put it. So I used the Dragonfly Garden set just for the Dragonfly. I used the Flowers of Friendship set from the new catalog for the Thank You for Everything. And I used the Hydrangea Haven set for this little watercolor swatch, which I did in 3 colors. I did the swatches in Highland Heather, So Saffron, and Soft Seafoam. Okay, so that is all that I did. And I did not case this card from anybody, although I tried. I went on to Pinterest and put in a search for simple thank you cards Stampin' Up, or it might have been Stampin' Up simple thank you cards. And a bunch of things came up, and I liked them all just fine, but some of them included stamps that I didn't have. Some of them included colors I didn't necessarily want to use. I think one of them that looked nothing like this at all might have had the Dragonfly, which made me think that I really did like the Dragonfly card. And somehow I came up with this. And initially my thought was to have these little splotches sort of stair-stepping across the card that way. And I didn't start the top one up high enough, so I ended up doing this instead, and then I just continued it. I'm also going to show you one of my secret weapons, and something that I find I have to use fairly often, to be honest with you, when using Memento ink, and sometimes with these Dragonfly stamps. I wouldn't give up these stamps for anything, but once in a while I run into a little something or other, and I did not save one to show you that I had to fix, and I'm pretty sure you could look at them and never figure out which one I had to fix. There was one where I had a little ink in the corner. Oh, this one right here. I used a different stamp and had a little ink in the corner, and I really can't do too much of that about that, except maybe use my sand eraser. So that one may not get sent to anyone, we'll see. But I wanted to have a bunch of them. So really quickly, I'm just going to show you how I did this card. So I started out with a basic white card base. Oh, that one's got a little schmutz on it. There we go. Basic white card base that was 8.5 by 5.5, folded at 4 1/4. Oh, there we go. Okay. So just a basic white card base. And I use my bone folder to get a nice crease on that. And then I just basically get my colored ink pads open because those are the ones I'm going to use first. So the soft sea foam and the, what did I say? So Saffron and the Highland Heather. Okay, so we'll start with that. And I did stamp them so that they were facing in the same direction each time. That might not necessarily be necessary, but that's what I did. I'm taking a quick look for my chamois here because I really do kind of need that to clean off in between each color. But if I can't find it, like I said, I rearranged everything. I happen to have some baby wipes nearby, so those will do in a pinch. I know a lot of people use baby wipes to clean their stamps regularly. I think it depends on the baby wipes that you use, but I find that sometimes they leave some unwanted fuzz behind on my stamps, so I tend to not use those. Okay, so I'm just doing a little tap, 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 and I guess this goes, oh, wrong direction. This card was kind of a, not portrait view, whatever the other one is, horizontal view. What is that called? Landscape, that's it. Okay, so, and the baby wipes do work better for cleaning the photopolymer stamps. I just find for whatever reason that with the red rubber stamps, I sometimes get, I'm just sort of shaking it to dry it off a little bit. With the red rubber stamps, that's when I tend to get the, I don't know what I'm trying to say today, when I get the lint on the red rubber stamps. All right, and then I'm going to put this one down sort of in the middle, and I'll be honest with you, I'm pretty sure when I made the other cards, I saved that for last and did the top two ones first, but I didn't lay them out in that order, so whatever. Okay. Yeah, there is some fuzz on there, I can see it. So, you know, you want to get that off because that can leave an impression when you stamp. Sorry, I've got a little frog in my throat this afternoon. Okay, yeah, see, do you see that right there? I don't know if you can, but, and again, it's nothing that's going to jump out at anybody, but right there is a tiny white line from a piece of fuzz, lint, whatever that's left over from the baby wipes. And these are, yeah, these aren't even a brand, so I don't know where I got them. So they're probably cheaper baby wipes. I don't know if other baby wipes are better. Some people swear by the Huggies baby wipes for crafting. I don't use them for that kind of thing too often. I just use them for cleaning up messes, so I don't really care. Okay, so I was going to use my basic gray to stamp the sentiment with because that has become kind of an all-time favorite for me lately for stamping sentiments. But then I decided I really did want the contrast of the black. Okay, so I got the Memento out, and a little while ago I turned my Memento ink pad upside down so that I would probably get a better image because the ink would come to the surface. When I use my Memento, I tend to use it upside down and bring the stamp pad to the stamp instead of the other way around. Okay, just looked like there was a little something there. And now the problem is I don't know how to get a bad image without really messing it up. So I'm going to try to get a good image, and then I'll show you the little trick that I wanted to show you. If I don't get a good image, I'll show it to you. And if I do, and I did, get a good image, then I'll show you just on a piece of scrap paper. So let me just grab a little piece of calendar tear off calendar here, and let's see if I can get a bad image. Says no stamper ever, right? Let's see. Okay, so there's nothing missing, but it is kind of light. What I really wanted to get was an image where a line was totally missing, and then I'll show you my secret weapon. So I have a pen case. I don't know, I think a lot of crafters have obsessions with pens. I know I do. And I do a lot of mixed media stuff. I do some Zentangle stuff. I do a little bit of everything. And these pens are called Micron pens. And they come in different tip widths. And they're waterproof pens, which is good. They're great for watercoloring over and things like that. They're a little pricey. I would not recommend, if you're going to get one or two of these pens, I would not recommend that you go to Amazon, because I think you would be much better off going to some place like Joann's or Hobby Lobby or Michael's and using a 50% coupon, 50% off coupon, which you can use for these. So on the side of the pen where it says Micron, it will have a number, 01, and then the color is on the tip. I've often looked and the color doesn't seem to be written anywhere, so I think they just put the tip on to indicate. So that's an 01, that's another 01. That one is an 05. This one is an 005. This one's another 005. So let's see if I can show you the difference. So the 01 is still like pretty darn fine tip. I think you can see. I hope you can see. It's pretty darn fine tip. All right, so that's the 01. Now the 05 is a little bit thicker than that. Probably the size of the thin Sharpie markers. The 005 is so thin you can barely see it. I've heard it described as being like a hair. So that is the one that I would use if I had an oops on this. So for some of these lines that just aren't showing up super well, or if there was a missing piece of a line, I would come in with my 005 very lightly, barely touching it to the paper so that I'm not even feeling the contact being made with the paper. And I would just sort of sketch. I wouldn't try to make it perfect. I would just do it enough so that it filled in what was missing. And the same could be true, and for that I could even use the 1 or the regular 05 if I thought this was a little too light. And of course an obvious way to solve this problem is to use your Stamparatus, but let's say I didn't, and I just wanted to make this whole thing darker. I could take this and lightly sketch it in. And here, this particular little bump on the dragonfly's body didn't get dark enough. I would not try to make it perfect because I don't believe that it's perfect even when you get a perfect stamp. So that's one of my favorite tools for fixing an oop when I'm using either the StazOn ink or the Memento. It really doesn't matter. Okay, so this one turned out pretty well, so I didn't need to do that. And so now, also using my Memento ink, I'm going to ink up my thank you. Now yesterday when I stamped these cards, I found that I had a little bit of a problem, again, for whatever reason. If you can see the stamp, it's pretty wet, so I know that this is well inked, and the fact that I had it upside down helps. But I did find that when I stamped my sentiment, I kind of went half on, half off the color. That sometimes the thicker letters, and you will find that with thicker letters. Okay, so now I have just the opposite problem. Yesterday I had a problem with there being some little holes in the thicker letters. In this case, I don't know if you can see that, it's so juicy that it's almost too much. So I wouldn't be totally happy with that, but it seems to be okay and it's drying, but you're not seeing like the, it's just the word for is not as light as it should be. So again, this might be another one that I don't use. or that I send to someone with bad eyesight. I don't know. That didn't sound nice. But again, I'm not too worried about it. But these can be created very quickly, and that was the whole point. Yeah, that one is so wet that if I put anything on it, it's going to smear. So yesterday, I think I made 6 of these, or maybe 8. I guess I made 8 of these. And once I decided what I was going to do and got my stamps mounted and got my colors out, I think I made 8 of these in like 5 minutes. Okay, and there's nothing not nice about this card. Do you know what I'm saying? It's simple stamping, but there's nothing not nice about it. It will go into an envelope. There's no bulk, whatever. There won't be any problems with that. And there's nothing wrong with sending this card to someone. It's a perfect card to send to someone. So don't think of this as just a beginner stamp project. I would think of this as beginners, or a stamper in a hurry, or a stamper who needs to mass produce something. And again, especially if you're mass producing for an audience, if you want to call it that, of people who are not necessarily card makers. Although I don't think I would be embarrassed to send this in a card swap. Sometimes I think in card swaps people go out of their way to make like ultra complicated cards to be impressive, and they are impressive, but this impresses me too, and I'm not just saying it because I made it. It's very pretty. And I don't think anybody would look at this card and say, well, she didn't put much effort into that. I don't know. Maybe you would. I don't know. So that is my video for today. And again, I apologize for not being able to be here with you in person, but I will be with you in person on Friday with another Fast and Furious Fun Fold. I do have some notifications for you, but Friday, let's see, Friday is still July. So most of the things I need to say before July, so I will wait until Friday to do that. Okay, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you then. Enjoy the rest of your day. Well.